So now Alex Cora is this guy who is formerly of the Boston Red Sox, and Boston just so happens to be attached to this. I don't know why, with everything like that. He was at the Astros. Whenever he was the assistant, the bench coach, the assistant coach of the Astros broke basically every single hitting record that you could possibly break at home. He gets a job. They win a World Series. He gets a job at Boston. They do the same thing up there. Then all of a sudden, a pitcher comes out and says, "Oh, they're recording it." A podcaster says it. Is this something that is understood that happens, or is this like, what is your take on this as a guy who's a catcher and your exact fingers are probably on some of these cameras out there? What is this in the state of the game?
Well, for me, it's been happening forever. I think sign stealing, looking for tells. I mean, it happens in every sport. I mean, you playing in the NFL, I'm sure you watch film.
Yep.
Obviously, I mean, you watch film. You see guys on the quarterbacks on the sideline looking at iPads, seeing pictures like real time pictures. It happens in every sport, and so I kind of don't understand it. And my worry is baseball has all these unwritten rules. You hear guys say, "Well, he's not supposed to do that." Well, it's not by the letter of the law. It's not a rule necessarily. And so, like in preparation for this article or for this interview, I did a little research and I read a couple articles, and nowhere that I found was anything that was being done at that time. It wasn't necessarily against any rules. Was it frowned upon? Maybe. However, from a catcher's perspective, we do things from inning to inning. We change signs. You set up later before the pitch is getting ready to be thrown to you to combat that. So anytime like a guy's on second base, you have a sign sequence. It's as intricate as a one, which normally means fastball, doesn't mean a fastball, and then you sequence it in a number of signs to try and hide it. Things like that. I mean, you do things to combat those things. You look for tells from the other team that make it appear like they're giving signs to their hitters. That it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Are you saying
I
this is? Are you saying you think this is kind of getting blown out of proportion, and this is something that you, as a catcher, who is the person whose signals are being signed, basically understands that there is the potential of this happening, and it's your job, it's on you and the pitcher to make sure that this doesn't benefit the other team?
No question. No question. I think I would be willing to bet that when Mike Fiers said what he said, that he didn't think it would get to where it's at now. I mean, guys are losing their jobs. Guys are potentially getting blackballed from baseball with all of this stuff that's gone on. And if it's pretty black and white for me, if they were breaking a rule, I get it. If they were breaking an unwritten rule, I don't understand it. Because I mean, in any walk of life, you look for an advantage. I have a unique position because I'm in a situation as being a catcher that I do things to combat sign stealing, but also from a hitter's perspective, I would love to know what's coming. I mean, it makes my job a hell of a lot easier to hit if I know what pitch is coming. And so if a pitcher is blatantly giving me, if he's in the windup and it's as blatant as his hands go over his head when he throws a fastball and his hands don't go over his head when he throws a breaking ball, I'm going to take advantage of that. And so is everybody else that's on our team. So that to me is what I don't get. I don't get that if a guy was showing that he was throwing a changeup and I mean it's been happening forever. If
All
you
right.
played little league,
I have a question. I think people are assuming because now is this something you're going to have to change, knowing that there is a chance that there is a camera. Now they said, now I don't know enough about baseball to really ask the right questions here, but they said there was a camera being shot from center field at the catcher. They would then go into a room to see what the catcher was doing, and then they would bang on garbage cans and whistle and stuff for what the pitcher is doing. As a catcher, now I've never played catcher. I've only played right field professionally. But if I was a catcher and I heard this type of stuff happening, isn't that something that would also maybe tip you off like, oh, they're giving a little bit of this or they're giving a little bit of that or something like that? And is the fact that they had a live feed going on is what they're blowing up about, or is that something that maybe you know is happening? Well, hello there. Utilize the promo code Pay the Bills and get $20 off your first order from SeatGeek. Now, back to the magic.
they are the live feed is the issue, I believe. However, the rule of not being able to have, I think they changed where you can have cameras. They changed that going into last season. And so all of this was happening. It happened in 2017 when there wasn't a rule where you could or couldn't have cameras.
Oh God.
So for me, it's a little, it's really kind of, it's odd to me. I don't, again,
You
I've
hate
said it
it.
100
You hate
times.
it.
I don't get it.
You hate it.
I, I do. I think it sucks. I really do. I think it sucks because a guy outed his teammates that he benefited from. And I just think that, I think it sucks.
Imagine if you're a catcher though, and you hear an entire dugout like, and you're just sitting there. You're like, "What is that? Are you guys?" Excuse me. I think there is something going on. That's the thing about baseball, though, that I think a lot of people appreciate, especially baseball fans, is like the game, right? Like there's a game inside of a game that's happening, whether it's the umpire's strike zone, whether it's like a little bit of more grip on the thing or the ball or anything like that. There's always like these little games inside of baseball when a lot of people from a 30,000-foot view, you see, you're like, oh, okay, it's pitcher versus batter, and then there's 9 innings. But there's all these little things trying to get this little advantage in these 197,000 games that you have. It's almost like a part of the sport. Is that what you're saying? As opposed to these unwritten rules being broken, it's almost like these types of things are a part of the sport, and it's what makes the sport even better.
I agree. It's things, I mean, it's things that have been happening for 50 years. I mean, it's just guys like, I played with some guys that played with the Dodgers, with Chase Utley on the Dodgers towards the end of his career. And our hitting coach said last year that Chase's job when he wasn't playing, he would just look for the pitcher to see if he could pick up anything to decipher what pitch was coming. I mean, that was just basically his job with the Dodgers, like I said, when he wasn't playing. So it's just things like that. And he had gotten that from guys that he had played with coming up through the minor leagues and early on in his career in Philadelphia. And it's something that's gone on forever. Now, again, if they were breaking a rule, if there was something in place that said the live feed couldn't be directly to a camera in the video room or in the batting cage or anything like that, then I completely understand it. But however, if there was no rule in place about the live feed, like you said, or anything like that, then I just don't understand it.